Alright, so it's time for the proper infiltration in Aquatos.
Again, you love how the plan pretty much resorts to
Oh boy,
have
here's
Ratchet and Clank do
Quark's,
everything.
sorry, here's Clank's director,
me?
agent. I'm guessing he's supposed to be a parody of some figure in Hollywood. I cannot think of
I
who
am currently
specifically.
occupied with the
Spielberg,
mission of
Kubrick,
galactic
I
security.
don't know.
He does have a bit of the
It can be a lot.
Okay, he looks a bit like Spielberg, but he also has some of the mannerisms of Kubrick, so maybe this is Spielberg and Kubrick's
He has a
love
bit of
child.
perfectionism going on, but his personality is mostly, oh, Ratchet is stupid, and, you know,
How about
Clank is
now?
my precious star. But again, we'll come back to
He'll
this
figure
later
something out.
anyway.
We've got work to do.
Also, I love that for that cutscene, we did not have subtitles. Unfortunately, despite them being turned on, they're also very inconsistent. I can still understand to some degree why not in level you don't really have them, because unfortunately at the time it was not a practice that, games tended to do. But it's still very inconsistent.
Skid, what are you doing here?
My code name is Shadow Dude, bro. Black Ops are my specialty. I figured you guys could use my help.
Thanks, Shadow Dude, but I think we've got this one covered.
Alright, I'll just take my hacker and go back to the ship.
Oh goody, you have the hacking
well, you know,
tool. Here's
on
hoping that the
second
minigame is good enough in this game.
Shadow Dude.
Awesome!
Well,
This is
thankfully
gonna be
Skid is gonna
sick.
do that work for us for this level. So, more of a case of
See?
we'll get a demonstration, so to speak.
Look at that, it is a team effort after all.
And
That
yeah,
being
you
said,
get the other boys back with the same gimmick, you know, slime separation and everything.
while it's an incredibly backhanded complimentary sort of way, I like to imagine that Quark giving Ratchet and Clank all the work is him recognizing that they are technically the best fit for the job.
Technically, yes, more of a backhand compliment, I will say, Java. What's the term?
His attempt to steal the credit.
No, taking advantage of knowing about their capacity so that later on you can steal the glory. So yeah, something like that. But being conscious about what they can do, but not necessarily in a good way, but more in a case of like how can I exploit this?
So to his credit, yes, he actually came up with a great idea. To his discredit, anyone probably could have come up with the idea to just have Ratchet and Clank save the
Again,
day.
that's kind of the entire point of the game, that the Ratchet is basically a hero, but he's kind of unsung by what, the cynicism of the, massively satirized corporations of, and political aspect of the galaxy tend to be, that's
I'll
part of the satire, basically.
I'll admit, while Up Your Arsenal does have one of my, if not my favorite plots, I always did kind of have to tilt my head at them suddenly making Ratchet to seem like not as much the...
Move! Oh, do I have to
Come on
defeat
now.
this enemy too, I guess? Okay. Go on, Drover.
But yeah, I always did tilt my head at Ratchet sort of being treated more as a joke, and I get it, that's supposed to be a commentary on stuff, again, I like to imagine that he is properly respected more as the war hero, which, he was in 2, and technically at the end of the first one. I get why they wanted to do the diversification and the subversion that, oh, the nerdy Clank is actually the one who gets all the fame and pizzazz, but it did feel a little forced for me, especially with stuff like, oh, well, he's just a sidekick. Okay, I was fine with it enough for, Clank's movie, but in even real life, if that Defervin is anything to go off of...
Again, the part of the satire is that everyone believes that just because Clank plays the secret agent Clank in the movie, they think he's actually real, he's just faking it, which is, again, satire about parasocial, relationship that people have with fictional media they consume, that kind of stuff.
And, it's not even bad commentary. My only issue is that it kind of clashes with the last two games and how people were aware that it was both Ratchet and Clank that were the
it's
heroes.
also kind of part of a joke that after each game, it seems that the Galaxy kind of forgets, about the deeds that Ratchet and Clank tend to do until, their needs, arises once again. Thankfully, also, much like in the second game, thankfully, Clank comes equipped with all of the upgrades that Al had put, and the other scientists had put, which includes also the better swimming controls, thankfully.
Probably helps that Al is part of a team, yeah.
Still with the terrible blue filter, but it's a bit better. I can see better what's going on down there. Also, at the very least, they're starting with Deadlock Gladiator, they start to actually recognize more that Ratchet is considered a hero. It's kind of the major plot hook of Deadlock, the fact that because Ratchet is recognized as a galactic hero, he attracts the attention of someone who tends to exploit that kind of factor,
Of course. And I guess to be fair as well, like I mentioned, Up Your Arsenal being the third game would also be the title that established a lot of running trends for the series, including its most famous and recurring villain. So, to be fair, it being the start of the trend is, yes, how's that for a jump scare, goddamn. But yeah, it being the start of that trend, I'm kind of a bit fine with at the end of the day, since, again, Up Your Arsenal, I would argue, is probably the game that ended up being the most solid blueprint for how the series will go, essentially. Big, life-threatening situation with the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank need to stop it, some jokes at either's expense as people underestimate them, but of course then come to see that, no, these guys are the real deal heroes. It would be this way until after Deadlocked. After Deadlocked, it's a bit hazy for me. Rift Apart was definitely different.
Because the Future Saga focuses more on character introspection and origins for both the main characters, while there's still some degree of social commentaries, about the state of the galaxy and everything, the focus is more on the scope of the adventure, the big grand things and the being in awe of the technology that the species of the galaxy have put in the universe, which it's fine. Again, I'm just annoyed by gaming journalists oversimplifying the whole thing by saying it's like you're playing a Pixar movie.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to come up.
A statement that in itself doesn't really, have anything harmful in it, but it's kind of just as simplifying as say game is the Dark Souls of X, It's the kind of thing that, there is more to that to enjoy.
If I were to maybe be a little fair to reviewers, I do kind of get the Pixar comparisons, especially when the future games were up and at 'em. This is like when Pixar were at the top of the animation community, so their style was one of the most well-known of, and yeah, I can concede that the Ratchet and Clank games felt like they were going for that tone and mood.
Which is also partially ironic, because again, having replayed those for recording recently, I can tell you that because they were still relatively still PS3 games, not in its early to mid life cycle, at least those. A lot of times, Ratchet instead tends to get the DreamWorks face instead. So it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I get it's what they were going for. I will say, I do kind of lament the lack of the more smart aleck tone that the earlier games had. Oh, not to say that it's gone entirely, and there is still some crass humor, but you can definitely tell with later games that they were going for a more...
Again, epic in scope, kind of, revelation. TJ Fixman had basically his own idea on what the universe, not just the galaxy, but the universe of his character is,
I think a good way to put it is it feels like going from Men in Black to WALL-E. You go from this snarky, kid-friendly technically, but borderline adult-esque tone to suddenly a much more happy-go-lucky, cheery, family-friendly vibe.
Again, all in due time, because we're still not there yet.
Like, again, I will say this. It doesn't necessarily ruin the games for me. But that said, going back to this game, though, I feel like, again, like a third game in a series should, Ratchet and Clank 3 definitely felt like that tone brought to its true pinnacle. You have some smart aleck stuff, but it still remembers to be wholesome at certain bouts here and there. You have some returning qualities as well, but again, they feel refined too, basically.
Also, there you go. After you defeat these kind of, giant amiiboids, you do get what are called sewer crystals. What do you need those for? You'll be able to see technically later, because they have a specific use, but you just don't know yet.
Also, I think this was also Insomniac going for a bit of that Spyro 3 flair. Like, Spyro 3 was the game that gave Spyro an entourage. I mean, okay, technically he did have, like, a hunter and,
Elora?
Yes.
He's a pawn, you dork.
Yes. He had Hunter and Allura in 2, but 3 was the one where he actually got, a full posse for, like, the whole run, The posse that were actually helping him along the whole way, instead of just cheering him on from the sidelines, basically. While we don't get to play as all these guys, they do serve some participation throughout the levels here and there, as well as the story.
Alright, while Skid actually will move away for real, we're having Incognito returning.
I forgot to feed my goldfish.
Sure, buddy.
I'll see you back at the...
He honestly made it quicker than I thought he would. I mean, further.
Slim-Cognito? What are you doing down here?
I had a small run-in with the cops concerning a suck cannon upgrade that was mistakenly sold.
Oh dear.
Yeah, moving on.
Oh dear. Yeah, we may need to lock him up and throw away the key, guys.
Still in the market.
Well, let's see what you've got.
Alright, technically speaking, Incognito here is here to sell you 2 weapons from the second game, but because we have a save file from the second game, Swashbuckling is actually very sportive to actually give us, if you have that, both weapons completely for free. Free of charge.
Wow.
Take them.
I guess jail made him very generous.
Well, remember, Swashbuckling was not, charged for what happened with the Proto Pet. And yes, I mean, you have the turret glove, which is fine. Nothing too special about it, again, in the second game. But the lava gun is not only just as useful as it was in its base form in the second game, but its upgraded version has been completely reworked, and as you'll be able to see, it actually works very well, in all of its forms. So they finally took the chance to fix that, like I said. Alright.
Hey, I remember that submarine from Wrath of Cortex. It sucked.
Thankfully, this one is not just as fragile as a poking thing that can hurt it.
Thank goodness.
This also takes us to the next devil destination, which means the offices
There's
of
the ventilation shaft. We must
Nefarious,
split up
which
here.
means Clank, as
Yeah.
mentioned by the plan.
Well,
We'll have to
I
go
guess
through the
it's time to
ventilation
put on the
shaft,
Tira,
while
guys,
Ratchet
and
will need
go
to
meet
use
my
the
new
Holo guys
pals.
to
Good luck.
converse
I will
with
assist
the
you if I
Tyrannoid.
can. Perhaps you should have read the instruction manual.
If you need instruction, check out the enclosed
It
instruction
was nice
book.
knowing you, Ratchet.
Can't imagine why I'm referencing Hotel Mario in this franchise. This also, of course, brings back the Clank section. You notice it's a bit more snappy than in the second and first game. Slightly more agile, not that much, but definitely, less, oh shit. But less, slow as a process to go, which I always appreciate, just that right amount.
I love how brutal that death is. Like, nothing cartoony about it. He just gets shot dead.
Yeah, if you get seen, you're done. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, there you go. Banana. Oh, nice crunch.
No monkeying around.
Ah.
Monkeying.
Everyone has to do that joke whenever a monkey's involved.
And Clank
It's in
has
their
that kind of
contract.
weird sense of humor, I guess, robots and stuff. Alright, basically, you still have the gadget bots occasionally, but the main gimmick for this is that you have a banana gun, Don't ask, which serves to basically lure Scrunch onto platforms where you cannot reach in order to activate devices and mechanisms.
But tell me, Tio, can it fire in spurts?
I mean, if it shoots stuff, it's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
There you go. And
Well, technically, Donkey's coconut gun, as the name implies, fires coconuts, not bananas.
And yeah, the Scrunch is also used to actually distract the turrets. These borders on animal
I need
cruelty,
you to extend the
but
bridge
part
at
of
Yeah,
satire.
just let the monkey get blown up.
James, what did I tell you about writing these games?
Okay.
Interesting.
I object to that. I will not have monkeys getting blown up.
Either
Kind of.
the
So, how the conversation in
Whiz.
Tyrannoides goes? Well, you know, no, it's not a quick time event, but it's more like a rhythm game, as you're about to see. It's not particularly too hard, even in its final stages, when it becomes more frantic, it will still be relatively doable. I distinctly remember hearing that two programmers from this game, not recently, but a few years ago, did had like a charity, I think, donation stream for this game, and they lamented that they think they should have made it more simple. And I'm like, I don't know. I can see it could have been made more simple, but at the same time, I don't particularly see it as hard, especially, even if you're not a rhythm game veteran, But again, subjectivity.
Okay, in Donkey's World, they all have a weapon, but none of them shoot bananas with for Donkey's coconuts, for Diddy it's peanuts, for Lanky it's grapes, if I remember correctly.
Chunky gets the pineapple, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Chunky gets the pineapple. I actually forgot. No, what was Tiny's fruit? I know it's not bananas, at least.
I mean,
Wait,
if it's
did
part of a wrap, I guess walnut.
I'll have to go back and
guessing
check, but I know
I'm
it's not
guessing-
banana though.
I'm guessing the idea is like if they shot bananas, one would ask, why don't they just shoot bananas? For their
Especially with all that collectible. And remember, in the early stages, Rare just wanted to give them real guns, and Shigeru Miyamoto was like, "Nope, don't do that."
I
mean, that's actually one of those
seen...
rare cases where I actually agree with Miyamoto. That would be completely
It's
unfitting.
Donkey Kong with a gun.
And to give Miyamoto a fair clap on the back too, he didn't even outright say no to the idea of a gun. It's more he drew up a literal model for a coconut gun, essentially. So, I mean, honestly, it makes sense. That said, I wish I could have seen his face when he saw that version where Donkey Kong and Diddy literally have
Realistic
shotguns
guns.
Well, in
and
terms of-
pistols.
Well, just to say he was perfect, though. I mean, in terms of how there's like that many characters that should have firearms. You remember the development for GoldenEye, the original N64 one? One of his ideas was that after the game, Bond should go to the people he killed in hospital and shake all their hands.
Okay, like that sounds like something Bond might do as a joke.
That feels something that Jack Thompson will actually, theorize as an idea to justify violence in video games.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
see,
not like James Bond isn't popular in Japan or anything.
Alright, since you have the gadget while returning, you have the usual command. Stand, follow me, attack, and enter teleport.
sacrifice
It's a weird
yourselves
thing to
for the greater good.
Greater
The
good.
greater good.
I mean, a showcase where having no problem for throwing Pulse Crunch, in the way of the teleport. Not teleporter, but, the sentry guns.
He knew the risks of war.
The risk was truly calculated, but man, I'm bad at math.
I'm sure Caesar would be so proud.
Knowing him, his answer would be that, mimetic no that he does in the first movie of Reboot.
Oh.
Of the Reboot.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was about to ask, make sure to specify which Caesar. Because technically Caesar started from the original movie series. Like, that's the funny thing.
Even if ironically he wasn't in the first movie, instead he started only appearing in the sequels.
Also, I'm calling it, but I bet you they brought back Roddy McDowell to play Caesar just because he really liked the monkey costume at that point.
Probably.
Which, hey, I guess to be fair, Caesar is technically Roddy McDowell's character's son, so there's a reason for the family resemblance.
It's just a shame about just a shame about the last couple of movies he was in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I won't get too much into it now because we've got our commentaries for that. But I'll just say this: Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is a boring slog, and battle, battle's just embarrassing.
There's a reason why Fox eventually stopped, with the movie series. Had a TV series going on, but eventually, dropped the franchise until he tried to push the reboot button, starting from the 90s onward.
The sad thing about the Burton remake is that remake is actually more accurate to the book.
Well, again, outside of the weird as shit ending, I actually did not mind it too much, the Tim Burton version, believe it or not.
That's the thing. The weird ending, that was originally the ending from the book.
No, I get that. My point is that I know that the movie is technically considered the black sheep of the entire franchise.
I honestly don't mind that remake too much either. Like, a lot of people say, oh, the monkeys look too human-like, and I'm like...
Also, I prefer that over the CGI with the anime.
Really? Because I've seen...
Well, what took you so long?
Clank,
somebody's been practicing their inner Bond villain.
I thought I would help.
Well, you can give me a hand searching Dr. Nefarious's office.
Alright, let's give it a look. Wow, a lot of holotapes about Secret Agent Clank.
The complete Secret
Agent
Clank
Clank.
I guess he's a fan.
This guy's your biggest fan.
That is rather
I mean, you have to expect that.
I have downloaded an encrypted...
I mean, hey, I'm sure
Perhaps
Disney
Al
felt
can
the same
decode it.
way when Hitler
Great.
made fan
Let's get
art
back
of
to
their
the Phoenix.
Disney movies.
Yeah, I guess it is a metaphor.
Oh, I guess that really was Clank.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, please. We're going somewhere with this.
Anyway, I was gonna say about apes real quick. It's interesting as well because I've seen one review of the Tim Burton one. That his theory as to why the Burton one failed, whereas the other series, have had success, was that people could. His theory was that okay. People can accept people dressed up as apes but act human in the original. People can accept CGI apes acting kind of human in the newer films. People can't seem to accept people dressed up like monkeys and acting extremely monkey-like.
Anyway, here's the plumber again, and welcome to the sewer system.
Well, we knew a sewer level was coming.
Yeah, but let's just say that the team had
Right. Well, we
a
were
bit
just
too
passing
much
through.
fun in
You
creating
can get back
this.
to whatever you were
But
doing.
let's see, what is the plumber
If you find
doing
any
this
sewer
time?
crystals, I'll pay you for them in bolts. I'm making something special for the missus.
Yeah, that's what the
I'm
sewer
sure
crystals are for. They're the equivalent of the crystal in the moonstones in the second game. Basically more bolt farming.
Fresh from the bowels of a
We already
kingdom
found
void.
them for you.
Yeah.
This implies
However-
that sewer crystals are excrement.
Well, at least the bowels. But yeah, this opens up the network tunnel of the sewer system. It's claustrophobic, it's green, it's all fucking green. And it's chock full of amoeboid that you have to kill constantly. It's a great spot for farming your weapons, because, the amoeboids will mean that you have to farm, you have to gain a lot of experience with your weapons. But my god, someone made sure for you to remember this level. So, of course I'm not showing it. I have a heart.
Damn. I mean, I'll admit it works for me for the grinding because if you know what you're doing, the amoeboids will line up because of the narrowness.
Oh, sure. Like I
of
said, it's good
the
for farming
sewers.
your weapon and getting bolts, but it takes a lot. Anyway, that's taking it for Aquatos, which means we can return to the Starship Phoenix with the knowledge that we got. But that also means that we'll have to cut also back to Nefarious and Torrens in order to establish basically their entire gimmick, all the running gags about it. In just one cutscene, you'll be able to see basically all clear establishment. Please enjoy.
Sorry to disturb your work, sir, but you may want to know that your impenetrable secret base on Aquatos has been penetrated.
Impossible!
If you say so, sir. They apparently stole some sort of data disk. Well, I must be off now. Dirty laundry and
He's doing a British accent, you should say data disk.
I believe it was a Captain Quark or something.
Here's the thing.
Oh, wait, here we go.
When Nefarious gets a bit too worked up, he glitches to a soap opera recording.
It's like if...
We should have that looked at.
It's so stupid and hilarious at the same time.
Moron could never hope to match wits with the likes of me.
If anyone can beat a moron at his own game, it's you, sir. He
Yep.
has, however, assembled a group of elite agents known as the Q-Force.
What? This Q-Force must be stopped. Destroy them, eradicate them, annihilate them all!
It's on my to-do list, right after folding your undergarments.
But he's a robot.
That's
who
part of
doesn't
the
really
joke.
wear clothes.
That's the joke. Okay, so as I try to come to terms with this supposedly British accented guy's terrible pronunciation.
Up, space British twibs.
Of
It's
course.
a space
It's
British accent.
Data, get it right.
Still, I genuinely like the entire comedy routine between these two. And we'll get to see more of that
Yes.
eventually. Not in the next part. The next part instead will have Quark analyzing the plans of, Dr. Nefarious and taking the fight to the enemy on the home planet of the Tyrannoids. Yes, we're parodying the War of Terror in all its aspects. See you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.